order. Just so everybody knows, this is the 2-2-2-2 day. Introduction of members. Jeff, you want to
Jeff
start?
Watson, I represent the area plan. Stone Walker, I represent the schools.
Everett Snowberger, Town of Camden.
Teresa Maxwell, the commissioners. Sue Harmon, legal counsel.
Cameron Davis, executive director.
Gloria Mills, office administrator.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the November 23rd, 2021 meeting. And as everybody has a copy of the minutes, they're included in their packet. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented?
The only thing that I saw was Jeff's name was omitted on the, in attendance. But he's listed down through the meeting, he's just not in
Yeah.
attendance.
He was.
Wait a minute, I gotta have this so I get paid.
You should have got that check.
Yeah, that's over with.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you got credit for it.
Any other corrections or additions? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
Motion. Accept the minutes as presented.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is election of officers. And at this point in time, we'll call the board open for nominations for chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I nominate Everett Snowberger as chairman,
I'll second that.
and I move the motion for the nominations be closed.
All in favor of both motions signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion for vice president. Vice president carries on in the event that I'm not here. The vice chair.
Only you two guys can do nothing.
I say, I don't think you're gonna get Walker over that. No, I got the last. You got the last one.
You got it from the.
Jeff?
Yeah.
I've done it enough.
With your experience.
But you don't have to do it very often.
Say, Everett, I don't think you ever missed a week.
He's missed one.
Has he?
Yeah.
20 years.
In the last 10 years.
Pretty easy. Can you please accept?
Yes.
So is there a motion for Teresa for vice chair?
I move Teresa as vice chair. Second.
Okay. Is there a motion to close nomination?
Motion to close the nomination. Second. Vice President.
Okay, all in favor of both motions signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
We had one dissenting vote.
That's okay. She's gonna be listening, and
I will. You missed more than I did.
I know.
Let's see, do we have any other elected offices that we have to do? Do we have to do for the secretary?
No.
No.
And you don't have to for Cindy either.
Okay.
No, for our office administrator.
That's right.
That's it, vanilla.
Okay. Taking that into consideration, I believe the elections of officers is complete. So the next item on the agenda is variance 2022-1 Davis. And is there someone here who would like to present what you'd like to do?
Sorry. That's okay. Smile, you're on camera.
We're gonna talk about some things, but we also, printed out some drawings, so can I pass those out?
Sure, please do. Yeah, you need to state your name and address.
Oh, yep, so Scott and Sherry Davis, at 106 North CNC Beach Drive.
Okay.
Should be one packet for everybody.
Okay.
So we respectfully are seeking a variance in lieu of the 20-foot front setback as stated in the Carroll County zoning ordinance, Article 3, Section 4, Paragraph B for property zone L1. We are requesting a front setback of 3.6 feet for an addition to our home. We gave you a couple of photos and drawings there to kind of give you a better idea, but as you can see on the drawing submitted, our current home now sits 4.6 6 feet from its closest line to the SFLC property line. So we're already at that point where the front porch is, you can see the bump out. We are only wanting to add an additional 1 foot to our existing home to expand our family room. Thus should create no undue burden on any neighboring residents. We are not doing this in addition, this addition in order to rent the home or gain in any way other than look forward to participating in our home now and when the time comes to retire our home.
Anything else you'd like to say? No. Any questions from the board?
It's a nice area, and we drove by it Sunday.
What?
We drove by Sunday.
Oh.
It is nice, yeah, so.
Thank you.
So the way, I have a question.
Mhm.
Presently you have, is it a deck there?
No, it's, like a sunroom or sun porch kind
There's
of.
a picture there that shows like 6 windows in a row. Here, let me hold it up.
This one?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's the, this is kind of the,
I'm sorry, I should
Okay.
give you.
this is what we're just adding onto this part one floor.
This kind of shows there's a drawing in there like this. And this is the lake side as it is now, but we're just gonna bump it out of the way. So you'll see the side, we circled the side and then we circled the other side. So it's going to stay the same, just go 1 foot out toward the lake.
And you guys just recently purchased this, what, last year?
A few years ago.
Yeah, so they
Yeah.
purchased it with the parcel and all that was like that obviously when they purchased it, so obviously it's already within its parameters for what we're here today, but they're gonna add to that, so, you know, they bought it, there's several of them out there like that, they're
Yeah.
small lots, so and they've done a great job of reaching out to us and doing this process, so.
The reason we're wanting to do that is the extra foot is, it's very narrow, and that's gonna be our family room. And, kinda like we've got a 9-foot bedroom or a 10-foot bedroom, whether or not you have room for a bed and a nightstand. So mine is like, there's just barely enough room for a couch, and then you gotta squeeze the side table, and it's just hard to do. So we figured 1 additional foot wouldn't mess up the landscape or anything, and would afford us a little bit more room to move around.
The stakes on these pictures are the property line?
Yes.
Correct.
That's kind of what it is.
Doug, Jeff, you guys have any questions? I appreciate the pictures and very well
Do you see that? Yeah, 4 times 6.
Takes care of all
I can't tell the damn thing from this.
I really
I should
appreciate
have copied off the
drawings.
pictures.
I know that's expensive to have
But they're on my
an engineer
homework,
or
so.
architect prepare those, but that makes it very easy for us to review what's going on.
It's part of we're doing a complete remodel for the house, so that was just a part of the face of Lakeside, so.
They've done a great job.
Yeah, they're doing a separate project to the other, direction, which they had to work some things that was depicted, is it flood zone, is it not, and they've supplied everything and more. So they've been very easy to work with, and hopefully we can live a nice home at the end of the project.
Okay, any other questions? Yep, Doug, Lisa,
No, thank you.
thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cameron, staff report?
As I said, Scott and Sherry Davis submitted an application for a variance to the Board of Zoning Appeals for property located at 10616 North CNC Beach Drive in Marcel, Indiana. The variance was properly advertised in the Carroll County comment on February 9th, and the sign was properly posted. Dairy Plan received no inquiries or public comments prior to the staff meeting. The applicant is requesting a variance of 3 feet 6 inches for front setback in lieu of the 20 feet required for L1 property. The use and value of the adjacent area of the property would most likely be unaffected. The property value of the subject parcel would only increase with the new addition to the home. The change in the front setback would not be injurious to the public health, safety, moral, or general welfare of the community. So, they bought the property as it is, and they're certainly making a nice home. nicer.
You can sit down.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. You received proper fee and everything?
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you.
Now we'll have what's referred to as a public hearing. Are there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this variance? Anyone wish to speak in opposition to this variance? Hearing none, call this public meeting closed. And, any discussion from the board?
And then we'll proceed with the questions.
Have a motion made and seconded to proceed with the questions. Is there any discussion from the board? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item will be to answer the questions that are required for us to demonstrate that the variance will, and the first question being the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. So a motion must be made that will demonstrate that this will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community.
One quick change in the direction we're going, I see no problem with it whatsoever.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Second question, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner, and motion should be made to demonstrate that.
I think that the use is continuing as a residential, so it will not be changing in that variance at all.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Third and final question is the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
I move we accept this variance. Adding 1 foot to that, to the exterior will help the interior of the house quite a bit, as she was demonstrating. And that's gonna be the only way to get to road and side yards.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor, or any discussion from the board? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, you can grant a variance for your property.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem. Next item on the agenda is A, B, C, D, Mobile Home Park, continued from November 23rd, 2021. Cindy, I've got a question for you. Since this is continued for a couple of months, should we revisit the presentation by the petitioner, or should we proceed as?
Depends if you guys have any, need any refreshing on what it is they're asking here, or whether you want any further information that they might have that's new.
From my standpoint, there was a lot of questions at the last meeting, and I believe that was in Jeff's motion to continue it, excuse me, as to whether it was a mobile home park or a RV park, and when the rules occurred that would be governing mobile homes and RVs, except for when the zoning ordinance took place. Am I correct? I think it would be, in my opinion, if there's no objection from the board, would be fair to the petitioners to bring up these items if they are prepared to discuss it, and present it to the BZA. And please state your name, address.
Hi, I'm Bob LaBrie. My 1961 Northeast Schaefer Drive, Monticello. And first of all, thanks for taking time to look at things that we supply and taking the time to think about it and coming out in this crazy weather. It's been up and down for me anyways. And over the months, we did a lot of research. Hopefully that's helped answer some of the questions that we provided on there. I do know that for sure this place has been there a long, long time, operating the way it's been operating for a long time. And we just want to continue to improve it and operate it as it's been being operated. And I know there were a few questions on people living there and not living there. And as I stated before, there's two people, our manager, maintenance guy, and our caretaker guy that lives there full-time. Otherwise, there'll be nobody living there full-time. As far as opening and closing, our season runs from like April through October in there, so we'd be closing winter just to refresh that. There's also some questions about concerns about traffic down below or up above. We've addressed that in our rules and we've done what we could do to have our people not take the carts to where they're not supposed to take them. And also, let you know that we've got, a lot of higher-end campers coming in there, RVs is the term, and they want to just come in and stay, on the weekends and go boating and what have you. And if they don't have anything to go as far as staying there or living there or anything like that. There was questions about the decks and that, and we'll do what we need to do to bring whatever that is for permits or whatever. Nobody has an argument with that on our side. So we just want to try to be good neighbors, try to upgrade the property, operate it like it's been for a long time. And if anybody has any questions for that, feel free to ask and we'll do our best to answer.
Any questions? Jeff?
One thing that has nothing to do with this maybe, but everybody talks about the day the zoning took effect for the county. I was been in business 73 here, in the building business involved with these people here since 73. A lot of things that happened 10 years after the zoning thing went into effect and nobody paid attention to it. They didn't go out and say, hey, if we're home, you can't do this. A lot of people were not doing things correctly, they didn't know any better, and the county didn't push it to correct it. So I tell you, so well, in 73 or 72, whenever this took place, they didn't get a permit for it. Well, nobody asked them to get a permit, they didn't know they needed a permit. So I don't know if that has anything to do with the government has any obligations to, such as this, you're talking about what date just come to pass, what date, it could have very well come to pass, and the zoning board said it couldn't be, but nobody pushed it, nobody knew any different.
I've got a question, I got this from the last meeting, and it appears to be somewhat different than what you have up there.
This is Beacon, and Beacon is strictly for reference only, so.
Well,
that's why-
that's why I'm asking the question. This shows the boundaries of this going down through the water and coming back up into here. But it appears to me in this area right in here, there are some private residences.
Okay, so there are 5 homes here, 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4, 5,
Okay,
and I'm on the middle.
Okay. okay,
And then there's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 residences, what I call on the high side. These two
Up here,
homes,
right here.
and this one here. These 2 homes are like down the hill, like you
Okay.
can't see the homes from the road.
And they have access from below.
This road comes in. So when they bought these lots, or this was platted for these lots, it says there's a 25-foot easement that comes, it used to go down the hill, but it's blocked up now, it would follow around. So that that's their access under these two.
So it goes down here?
It comes in and stops, this house here actually has a carport in the road over the years.
Okay.
And then this is our private road, and then we also have a road
Right through here?
right, that's our private road. And then there's a road that comes down here.
To these homes? And it's very steep, correct?
That's the one we talked about.
All right, so these homes down here, where do they get access in and out?
There's their garage here, and then there's a drive here, and they walk down.
Oh, so they have, their vehicle parking is up on top, and their
Lake
homes.
access is on.
This home
Lake
and
access
this
down
home
there.
are below the hill, this home and this home are on the same level.
Okay, okay. So, I'm just trying to get an idea, I went out there, over the weekend, drove around.
Doesn't show well in the button.
That's all right. Okay. I'm just trying to get a good handle on what is included in the proposed campground and what is not, so.
We own these, this area right here,
Okay.
that's our, the lots, but I don't know, so it goes down to the lots.
And there's a couple boat access, golf cart paths.
Golf cart path that goes down here,
Yep.
here. So
Yep.
golf carts do not have to go out on the road to access the different levels of
Okay.
of the property.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much. Jeff, any questions?
No, I don't know if it makes a difference to the thing of owning a mobile home park, or RV park, or whatever mine is called. But you remember, there's a lot of things you're talking about here, I don't think we have any jurisdiction over. This is governed by the state, this is a state permit. If you got problems within the park, the state takes care of the dog problem. Like I remember you got trash bags sitting beside the thing, the state will write you up, not the county. So a lot of this stuff's state oriented, we don't have control.
Okay.
A lot of the inspections are mandatory and are governed by the state of Indiana for campgrounds, mobile home parks and all that. The state has,
And it always comes the wrong day.
yes, yeah, they have their hands in all of it before it even gets to the county level. So the state has several hands in that, so as you can see.
I drove around and I just tried to take a visual count. How many mobile homes are on site and how many camper trailers are on site as it says now?
Okay, so there's 48 registered for the state, 48 sites.
Okay.
Plus 2 what are called park-owned lots, they're not like sites, so say there's 50. I'd have to look to get specific, but I think we're tearing 2 more down as we speak right now.
Okay.
Last count, there were 13, and 6 of them under county definition are a recreational vehicle, under 480. And the remainder, 7 of them are considered over 480 mobile home park. Of those style. And then the remainder are what would be in your specific definition. The rest of the sites, all of them, would be under your definition of travel trailer in your ordinance. Not recreation, it's still part of recreational vehicle, but it's not a motorhome, it's not a tent, it's not we're not doing tents, motorhomes, those things.
The reason I ask that is because in the items that you presented here, talks about mobile home parks and stuff, and, you know, in the original definition of mobile home parks, many of those would be considered travel trailers today. You know, so, you know, that kind of muddies the water and stuff, so to speak, so, I guess another question I've got for you is, does the state presently consider this a mobile home park, an RV park, or something in between? And I'm not a legal individual, so that's why I asked the question.
Right. So the state considers it a campground. And in the state definitions, to become a mobile home park and regulated by inspections and the water and all of that, you have to have 5 mobile homes that people are living year-round in. They have a definition in their campground ordinances that says vacation mobile homes. So if someone's not living in a mobile home, the state regulates it through their campground ordinances. And that's who inspects, annually inspects. I provided that inspection the last time, just 2 or 3 days prior to the meeting that inspected for the campground. And also in your information, I mean, I've requested them, they went to the archives to Indianapolis to the library, and there was no evidence that it was ever anything else in the state's view than campground.
Any other questions?
I think everything's pretty well here, really, it backs up everything that he's saying, what's going on there. I remember in 77, 78, it was like $300 a year, you parked there year round, and your water was on, spring went off in the fall.
We really don't have anything that we can do with this.
I would have to defer that question to Cindy, but, you know, I'm thinking that in the eyes of the state and stuff, that this has been a campground for an extended period of time, but I'm not a legal scholar, I don't know how to interpret that, so. Pat, could you give us any?
I'm not a legal scholar, but I would tell you that all the documentation that I've seen, and the names that I see in the documentation, Charlie Burton from the Health Department, everybody viewed it as a campground and an RV park.
Okay.
And we, through Bob, it's Bob's efforts, it weren't mine, but everything that was done confirmed everything that he said, and we could not find one piece of evidence that said to the contrary.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's our view that it's been an existing use that predates the adoption of the ordinance, and it's continued that way through to today.
Okay, thank you. Cindy, what's your legal opinion?
No, I concur. I think I just said that the last meeting.
Okay.
I felt like it seemed to be very evident at that time that it predated the ordinance, so if it can be a continued use, we consider it non-conforming.
It would be illegal, legally non-conforming use of the property, and
Right.
as long as it continues,
Right.
then there's nothing that,
I think you can still do the tree line and the recommendations.
Yeah,
for
that too. We can ask that there be, if you look in, the closest thing we have to it is, it's this recreational vehicle parks, there's regulations on that. Section 14, I
Right.
says, a dense green belt of evergreen trees and or shrubs not less than 3 foot high after one fall growing season, and which at maturity is not less than 10 feet high, shall be located and effectively maintained at all times along all park boundary lines where deemed necessary by the board of zoning appeals to protect occupants from adverse influences outside the park or nearby neighbors from adverse influences of the park.
would not that require us to be taking action on a variance? To require that?
No, that's just a requirement, it's there, we can just,
So,
That's an article,
Yeah.
requirement under the article.
right, it's not
section,
something
not-
required by special exception.
but, you know, it's a legally non-conforming property, so would that or would not that predate the requirements of the ordinance?
The ordinance, I mean, it predates, yeah, the ordinance, but I think we still have the ability, if we feel like that is something that would, be in the best interest of that neighborhood, as far as aesthetics and keeping,
To protect occupants from adverse influences, the
That's
language on the
right.
bottom of the, yeah.
I I would maybe suggest that that might be a good idea.
And I don't think he's offered to do that.
I'm not saying it has to be the whole thing, I think there are just reasonable places you probably could see where you need some shielding from neighborhoods.
Just because he predates it doesn't mean he doesn't follow our rules.
Right.
So he still needs to follow the rules that we have in here.
We should. Now, the next one says that spaces should be rented by the day or week only, and each recreational vehicle occupying the space shall remain in the same park no longer than 120 days. Now, that one is a little bit different than what it is he is doing.
So, wouldn't he need a variance on that requirement?
I don't think, if it was pre-ordinance, it should be, unless they did
I would again suggest that that was the use prior to that. That's how it was done, and so now you're kind of changing that pre-existing condition by this new ordinance. And so again, our view is, and let me just basically speak for Bob a little bit, is that he wants to make sure that everybody is happy out there the best as he can. And there's a couple of areas in which they're concerned about buffering, and he is willing to comply with that. But the area in which I think they want the buffering is gonna have some concerns with, if we can scroll.
you want this
maybe
area
the
up
other
here,
direction.
or,
Yeah, down in the side area.
oh, so down below?
Yeah, down, right in that area, right up above, right where it turns, right in there.
This computer's all over that, my apologies. He doesn't wanna have us.
Getting motion sick. Right in there. Right, you see where the road curves and takes off, I'm just calling it to the north.
Yep.
The houses to the south, there's two or three there that could conceivably see where the parking is. If you look up above, you'll see there's a couple of, right in there. That right now has been for the longest period of time, used as a parking area for boats for the campground. And the concern, as we understand it, is Crest Drive, 12336 is one of the properties, 12330 is another one. It may have some concerns about a visual impact, but if you look just on the other side of the road, you've got NIPSCO lines. And so NIPSCO has been kind of adamant about what you do and you don't plant, where you plant and how you plant. And that is the place, in all likelihood, that would probably benefit the most of any kind of buffering, but it also creates some issues there. But we're willing to work with you, but quite frankly, it's not the kind of thing, in my view, that you can stand here and look at this and make that determination. I think it's the kind of thing that says, we are going to work with you to do the best we can to buffer with those accommodations, and take a site visit and work with Bob, and probably get next to him to do those kinds of things. As he's indicated, and I'm just gonna say, to the north is the top, to the southeast, most of those things are down below, you don't see it. To the southwest, it's the same thing. It's just those 4 or 5 lots in which Bob owns, I believe one of them in there, that it is an issue that buffering might actually provide some sort of benefit, but you can really see where the parking is now on the other side of the road. That is probably the issue where if some buffering could be done there without compromising the ability to use the property it's always to be used, I think you'll find Bob will be receptive.
So that, the green area, the center there, the parking zone, what we call the south side there, is there a reason why that couldn't be moved to the east?
Oh, yeah, that's,
And then it'd be out of NIPSCO's way also, right?
Well, a couple of things, because you were asking me,
Go ahead.
Cameron asked me,
Yeah.
you know, what our final scope was going to be, and I said we might add a swimming pool, right? So, our plans, you know, we've drawn up and we're kind of waiting, but we were gonna put a swimming pool from here.
it keeps moving on you.
It's the courthouse internet, sorry.
That's all right.
That better?
Yeah, so the pool is gonna be in this area, right here.
Okay.
So that blocks from there to there. When we bought the property, this was all, we bought it from Jacobs, all the petroleum pipes, you know, 3, 4 roll-offs, stuff we got out of there. There's a tree here, this will give a good evidence of a tree in here area, but there could be some limited parking there, but not kind of. So if we could go up once maybe, Tina?
Oh my God.
Okay, stop. So, this property and this property are on the same level as this field. This property and this property, impossible if they stood on the roof of their house to be able to see there. So to try to help here to buffer, you know, if they were okay with, you know, compensation to put trees on their side to block, you know, along that road there, I would be, you know, that might be a way we could do it. But we have, you know, you can see how many trailers, you know, it'd be kinda hard to try to get them from here to here. There's a tree right there. For yours, I mean,
Where does the dipstick line run?
there's a pole, it's hard to see, but right here, that kinda goes down.
So those trailers are parked underneath the power lines, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, initially, because this pole is kind of on that side of the 25-foot easement, road easement that allows access to all these lots. So, if Mr. Griffith is not opposed to it, you know, we could put trees on his side of that road. He has an extended driveway that can't really plant through there, but, and here, it would be kind of difficult to, we have other issues because this is pretty much all gravel to his house, like it's, the yard's maybe this big, your desk area in the front of that. And he has a carport in the roadway here. But I'm willing to, you know, I mean,
So have you reached out to some of the ones, there were quite a few here the last meeting? There were quite a few here the last meeting who had concerns with, you and them working together. Have you been able to reach out and make any connections?
Prior to the meeting, I spoke with there's a gentleman that's right in this area, I'd have to look his name up. And he kind of represented this area. And I don't see anybody here from that area. I thought we had a great conversation, you know, as far as the reality of it is they don't want golf cart traffic down here, and you know how it goes, they don't want golf cart traffic up there. Friendly, but I mean, it's,
Is that the
I think it's-
Hambridge Estates that you're pointing to?
right, this is
Lower
lower
Hambridge?
Hambridge
Okay.
of what it is. And in the old days, you could see this road used to actually go right through there. And somehow over the ages, it got blocked off. So, I don't see them having that issue. This guy and this guy, I met with personally, I didn't get to meet with this person. But, they have a fence already buffering right in this area, like 6 or 8 foot high wood fence on there. And they pretty much take their stuff and put it to the back of the lot line. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, I haven't heard buffer issues here. This was mainly, they were concerned about traffic driving down on them.
You don't have any lots, when I look at what you presented, there's no lots plotted on that green space in the center, correct?
It's all one
Lot.
It's one open area.
Yeah,
green
so
space.
would it be possible or feasible to move the trailer parking on either, say, the west side or the east side to be less objectionable to individuals who would?
You're saying, okay, so the swimming pool, if we take from here, this side of the, to there, that corner is going to be used, okay? We could get a few here. Actually, the people down below sometimes can't get as many cars parked there already, you know what I'm saying? I mean, specific question, we could try to park things in different areas, but maybe just looking out, maybe not, you know. I don't, it doesn't really matter that much, if Mr. Griffith would agree that from his property line to his other property line, we don't park something in front of there, in lieu of a buffer, since it's difficult to get NIPSCO, anything 5 foot under, they're spray and kill, they don't care, they just get rid of it. I wouldn't be opposed to that. So we just won't park something in front of his house, from his line down, we could park, I don't know, I'm willing to figure it out.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you, sir, appreciate it. Okay, Cameron, is there anything you'd like to add that has come in since the previous meeting?
Everything that's come in, you guys are presented by Cindy. And thank you, Cindy, she did the packet for you, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for, I don't think I've been off for medical leave, but I don't believe we've got anything that's changed that would have been brought up tonight, so.
Okay.
Just phone calls inquiring about, are we gonna have a meeting, and questions such as that, but nothing has popped up that's changed the whole scenario itself, so.
You know, the one question I have is concerned with, if it was legally non-conforming as of due to the date that was established, then the question would be, if everything was in compliance, then we would not be able to address any of the issues in section 14, which refers to recreational vehicle parks. I'm not an attorney, but that's my take on it. But the paragraph J says recreational vehicle spaces shall be rented by the day, week only, and each recreational vehicle shall occupy a space, shall remain in the park no longer than 120 days. And if I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had asked for a variance on that when you originally applied for this, correct?
Right, correct. The plan is that there's not people moving in and out
Yep.
just for the weekends and that kind of thing. So yes, it'd be closed in the winter, but they would keep their units. They don't wanna move them, pull them in, pull them.
That's fine. So in my opinion, that would be an actionable item by the Board of Zoning Appeals. So consequently, in that instance, since we're granting a variance for the 120 days, then we could put additional requirements on for buffering or anything else, you know, that would fall into the ordinance as we look at it and feel that it would benefit the general public. So, that's my opinion. Any other discussion?
So, your grandfather in the fact of the use of it, but you thinking we can still change it, because, see, it hasn't changed since you've been there.
Right.
So do we have a right to tell them you can't have it for 120 days? But I'm sure back in '78, they were there for longer than that.
Well, I don't know, you know, that was in the original application, correct?
Yes.
The 365 days.
With, the thought process was grant a special exception to become an RV park with those variances.
Yeah.
And then we would be, in compliance then with county ordinances.
So in that instance, my opinion is, we didn't create the question of concerning opening it up to our purvey, you know, he did when he made the application.
I was not involved in the initial application, but I think a lot of times that's guided by working with staff to see what in fact was needed. I think once it's clear what has gone on, at this point in time, it is a pre-existing use. And I don't believe that the fact that the application suggested otherwise was conceding the fact that we weren't already fully in compliance, because we were pre-existing. And so what I sense is that you're partially accepting the process, that we are at the position that we've taken, that it is pre-existing, I don't believe the mere fact that an application was filed in error by trying to comply with the county and make everybody satisfied that we have now given up the fact that we are pre-existing. And so if you want us to do so, I suppose we could withdraw, because my first inclination was, when I looked at it, was why are we asking for a special exception? Once I started to look at it, and then I asked Bob to do some historical research for us, and I believe that there was just an error in where we were at the starting point.
Of which we didn't have at the time.
Yeah,
So,
I know what
so
it
at the
had.
time of the application, none of this was provided to our staff, so that had, you know, things.
No one knew.
Yeah, yeah.
No one knew. And so to make sure that we kept moving forward, we were just trying to move along with the guidance of staff and the county to, again, be good neighbors here. But it's now become clear to me that it is pre-existing. And so I would submit to you that those kinds of changes are now no further acknowledging the fact that it's pre-existing. And we're not here to do that.
You concur? Okay. I wanted to bring that point up so that we would get legal opinion on it. You know, that's why I asked the question.
No, and
No,
I agree. We researched it, we looked at it, and I looked at it quite a bit. And you know, the other part of it is, quite honestly, there are probably other parks in the county that the same issues are gonna apply to.
Yep.
And so, just so we all know.
Thank you, Pat, thank you very much. That's the reason I asked the question, was to get a definitive legal opinion, one way or the other.
That's my definitive opinion.
Well, and our legal
I understand.
our legal counsel
I agree
concurs
with you
with
100%.
you, okay?
I agree
So
100%.
I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that, you know, this falls under the auspices of a legally non-conforming use, and that